Hi all, in this video we will talk about React-Intl and how can we do your application more available to another countries, another persons and another people who speak different languages, and how you can improve your site. We will use i18n standard and for React it will implement React-Intl module. And so in this video what we are going to do, first of all let's show me demo what we are going to receive in the end. Here we have a standard application from React. It's create React app hello page, and here we have buttons for switch languages. We will have 3 different languages. It's English, French and German, and when we click different button we see that code is changed for this specific language. And right now it's pretty simple, but then we will do it more complex, and so let's start. And here is our plan for today. So we will create a new application with create React app from the scratch. Then we are going to add 3 languages. You can add any languages and any number you want. It's not a problem, it's scalable and you can use as much as you want. We will install this plugin React-Intl, and then we create provider. So I will show you how to do this solution more workable and more real life, not that what you can find in sample. Then we will use formatted message component, and we will create some wrapper on it and simplify our life, and it will be much more easier to use it. Also in the end we will see the demo of our work and unit test. Of course we need to create a unit test for a new functionality, but we have no time and it's out of scope. So what do we need for start? We need to create React app. It's Facebook create React app, React application generator, and React-Intl plugin. Here you can find the link will be in description to this video. Also there will be a link to React context API. We used it in the previous video, and then we will make our sample much more complex with using context, but right now it will be without context. And here you can find the sample how you can use it, but we will do it in a bit another way. Let's start. First of all we need to create new application. Here we have this command. Let's code. Okay, everything works fine, so let's open this application. I will use WebStorm, but you can use any editor, IDE, it doesn't matter, you can use it. Okay, so here we have our application. Let's run it. So we have application, it works fine, it's application from the scratch, and let's start edit it. So we go to source. We are not going to clear this application or change something. We will leave it, and so let's create our model. Everything what is related to internationalization we will put in separate folder. It's a model, and we call it i18n. It's a standard name for everything what is related to internationalization. Here, first of all, we need to create a file with languages we are going to support. We will not have to do it, but it will simplify our work, and it's from clear code perspective it's much better. So we have locals, it's just languages we are going to support. So it's just an object with a couple different languages what we are going to use. It's English United States, it's German for example, and French. Let's say French Canada. So we need to export this object. And we call it somehow, it will be locals. So it's uppercase because it's a constant, and all these languages are constants too, so from best practices it should be uppercase. So okay, we create the languages we are going to support. The next step we need to create our provider. Provider, it's a component which will use our languages and use messages and can use it as we need. Okay, to use it we need to install our React-Intl plugin. So let's call yarn add React-Intl we'll add this plugin, and meanwhile we will create a provider.js file. So okay, what do we need here? Of course, import React. The next one, we need to import this Intl provider. Also, we create languages, so we need a list of these languages. And right now, let's keep it. So we will create this provider. It's a component. It will receive just children and local. It's a language that we are going to use. Our site will be shown on this language, and children, it will be the whole application. We will wrap the whole application or just one module, and then everywhere we can use this functionality. So it's a component. Let's use it. We will add a few params. So first one, local. It's our local. Okay, it's a language we are going to use. Also, we have another parameter. It's a text component. It's a wrapper for all translation. So we have translation, and it will be wrapped in something. We can wrap it in span, div, or something else, but in our case we will use just a fragment. It's a React fragment. We need to import it. Okay, and the third one, it's messages. Right now we haven't, but we will create. I forgot to return. Or we can use ES6 and yep, that's it. So here we will show our children and close it. So messages, we need our messages. Let's add here messages, and it will be an array with keys of local. Okay, so let's add these messages. So we need to create messages. Let's create new folder, messages folder, because we have messages for different languages, so there are a lot of messages. And let's create a file for each language we are going to use. So it will be an us.js. Yes, and let's create this file. So again, it's just object, so let's export. Let's export object and key. So we have different languages. So let's use constant for our English. So import. So use it, and here we will use locals English, and for this key it will be object with, for example, key hello, and translation will be hello. Right now it's enough, and we need 3 versions of this file for each language. So let's just copy and paste. So for German we just change this one, and we will change translation to see result. It will be hello. I hope so, because my German isn't perfect. And copy and again paste. And for French Canada, for example, we will use for Canada. Yes, so it's French, and translation is bonjour. Okay, so the next one, we will create one more file, index, just to wrap everything together. So let's import English from English, import German and import French Canada, and then we export default object with all these languages. So we will destruct all these objects, and in result we will have object with the keys of languages. Okay, so we have these messages. Let's go back to providers and import messages. Messages from messages, and they will import our index file and here. And local, why we imported it, so let's add default value. So for example, if we will forget to pass this parameter, we will use local English as a default language. So we created this component, and let's export it. Export default provider. Okay, so almost everything is done. So here in our module, let's create index file to import everything what we need, and here we will have export default. So we will export this component as a default. It will be i18n provider. Don't forget n, and we will export our locals, all languages we have. Okay, it's enough right now, and so we created our model, and let's try to use it. Okay, let's go to our application app.js, and here we have our application. So let's import. Okay, let's import our provider. So let's import this provider. Also, we will import all languages we have. And what we need to wrap the whole application into this provider. So let's use it. Wrap here and here. Modding, and so we need the pass language, so it will be local, and let's use just English for now. Then we will change it to see results. Okay, let's check if everything works fine. Okay, let's open and reload the application. It seems it works fine, but right now we have no changes. Okay, to use some changes, let's import. Let's add translated hello world, not just hello. So we need import. So we need formatted message component, which is using for formatting, or like I said, translating our text. So let's use it. The main props it accepts is ID, and let's add the ID, and it will be hello. ID is a key for our messages. So we have messages English hello, and here we will use our hello as a key. Let's close it and check. What do we have here? So we have hello. So here we pass a key, but in our message hello is uppercase the first letter, and it works. To check how it works, let's split our screen to see how it works. It will be easier. So in our app.js, let's change language, for example, for French. Compile and check result. So here we see bonjour. So now we can translate the first one. Okay, so we can see that this formatted message works, but it's not a good idea to use it everywhere. So let's create some small wrapper, and it will simplify our life. So here we also create new file. We will call it translate, and here in this file we will create our util translation. So here we need import React. Also we need import this formatted message. From React-Intl, and here we will create a function which we will call translate, and parameter will be ID, and it will return this formatted message with ID, and then we can export it. And in our application we can use import. We will import this function, and here instead of using this component and importing it everywhere, we can just call our translate function and pass parameter. The first parameter is ID and it will be hello. So we can remove it. We don't need it anymore. And check. So here we see that result is the same, so everything works great. Okay, so let's translate this section. Here we have interesting part. It's inside of translation we have some variable or something what can be changed. So React-Intl provides such functionality. We can pass another parameter here for translate function. Here we can pass another parameter and it will be different values. What can be changed. So let's add it. It will be value. For default value it's empty object and values. So we'll just extract value. It's what we received. And let's try to do it. Let's copy this text and we'll add it to our messages. So let's go to English, create new key, for example edit, and we will add this part. But here it's part what should be changed. Let's wrap it to special curly braces, and here it should be some name path. It's this value variable what we are going to use. It will be replaced with data you will pass here. And let's copy and add it everywhere. So in German it will be this part, send Google Translate, and again copy and install for French language. And in the French it will be same, but change path. And here don't forget German path. Okay, great. And let's try to change this part. Okay, we go to our application. Here we have this section. Let's check. We will call our function translate. The first parameter it's key, it's edit. And the second one it's object with value. Value, and value will be the whole component, so we can use everything what we need. It might be really component, not just a text. Okay, let's check. Oh, not value. So we created variable path, so we need name as a path. Let's check. And here we see that for French language we have translated text. Okay, so here we can just add some, split it a bit. Okay, so we created translation, it works. So what we need to change this language, and let's create a couple of buttons which will help us to change language on the fly. So we need here we can create, okay, again separator, and button will be English, and on click we want to change this language. How can we change it? We will save this locale in our state, And for this we will use state hook. Use state. So we will create the const locale set locale. It's a function which will change our state, and use state. So, and here we need to pass default value. Default value will be locals English. Okay, and so on click we want to it will be a function, and we want set locale, and for English it will be locals English. Okay, let's copy, and for German it will be German, and for French it will be French. So now when we click on button we will call set locale function, and it will change this locale state. Now we can use we need to use just it here. So what does it work? It change state, set language what you need, and we pass it to provider. Right now we pass it directly in here, directly by clicking on button and pass to provider, but in the future we can change it, save this language to context API. It will storage for the whole application, and then we can use it everywhere where we want. Okay, let's check how it works. So as a result we have 3 buttons, and if we click English we have the same English text. If we click German we have German text translated here and here, and for French, so it works everywhere the same. So right now we implemented this functionality, and it works. Okay, also what I want to show is that how can we use it in another components. For example, we have some inside components, and we don't want to pass provider, or we do not need to pass any formatted messages component. We can just create new component. Okay, let's create some, for example, report. It will be report.js. Doesn't matter. It's just a React application. Let's create it first. So it's very simple component. Okay, let's export it. And in our application we can import and check how it works. We can add it here below the link. So report, right now it doesn't work for translation. Let's change it. Again, let's go to our report, and we need function translate, and this part we will replace with translate, and key will be report. Okay, we have no such key. Let's add it to our messages. Let's go to English. Let's go here. So in German it should be here. That's this. And for German, for French, and it will be for French. Okay, and let's check. So here we see that when we change language, this section is changed also. So it works fine, and it's what we expected. And if we will take a look on this component again, so we have no props, we have no Intl translation module imported, we have nothing, just translate what we need. And here is a result of our application. So let's sum it up and check what we implemented. So we have application, we have the whole application is wrapped in provider, i18n provider, which receives language what you are going to use, and it will be, your site will be shown on this language. Okay, so we have buttons to change your language. It can be link or something else, or you can save this in storage and use user agent to get location and set data by default, set translation by default. So we can change this language, and we have function translate. It's a wrapper for formatted message component, which receives ID. The first parameter ID, it's a key for our translation, and the second one, it's a value, so we can pass any different values here. So for example, if you have some dynamic text with some calculated fields, you can pass it as a second parameter and it will work. Also, we have messages for free languages, but we can add as many as we want and just add it here, export. So right now it works as we expected. Okay, later I guess we can use context API to save everything, to save these languages in context, and you can change much more better. So subscribe to my channel to not miss this functionality, and I hope in the next video it will be much more interesting. So thank you for watching, that's it from my side.